We shall next look at the average case analysis of insertion sort. Interestingly, we are going to use linear search analysis over here to complete this part. So, the idea is this. If you look at the loop invariant maintained by insertion sort, if you look at the ith iteration, at ith iteration, if you see, the first I minus 1 elements are sorted, and the objective is to find the right position for A of I. You check whether A of I should be placed at A of I itself. Suppose the value at A of I is larger than value at A of I minus 1, then it will be placed at this. So the right position, it can be 1, or it can be 2, or it can be 3, it can be any location starting from 1 to I. Correct? And now it is successful search, meaning the one that I want to place, I will either place it here or here. In case I want to place it here, then all of this will be shifted by one cell right, then A of I will be placed here. Suppose it should be placed at the first location, then all of this will be shifted by one cell right, then I will place A of I at this place. And so identifying the right position is equivalent to doing linear search on A of 1 to I. We know that on an average, if we want to search on this many locations, then successful cost on an average is I plus 1 by 2. Correct? That's all. If you substitute that, we are done. So the average cost of the insertion sort algorithm is precisely this. We search in first I locations, and on average we incur so much, and I varies from 1 to n. So the element to be searched is something like the position to be searched with respect to this. So one has to see 50% of the locations before we identify the right position for A of I. So on simplification, we get to see that it is theta of n square. So interestingly, this is close to the worst case. There is one more way of looking at this, that's through equivalence classes. We define something called inversion between a pair. For example, look at say the array 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We say there is an inversion between a pair if I less than j and A of ai is greater than aj. So the index is over here index is 1, over here index is 3. So I is less than j. But look at the value. ai is 5 and aj is 3. You see that ai is this. Now look at this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Between any pair, if you see, there is no inversion at all. So there is no inversion, which means if it is sorted, there are no inversions. If it is reverse sorted, then it contains maximum number of inversions. Correct? Now what is the objective? The objective of any sorting algorithm is to minimize the number of inversions at each iteration, and eventually we want to bring it to a stage where there are no inversions at all. The moment you say there are no inversions, which means the sequence is sorted. That's precisely the idea. Now what we are going to do as part of this is, you have a countably infinite set of inputs, right? We have a countably infinite set of inputs. We classify them into the following categories. Equivalence class 1 is all those inputs for which the number of inversions is 1. So number of inversions is 1. This is all those inputs such that number of inversions is 2. And what would be the maximum number between any pair? You see that there is an inversion. So which means the maximum number of inversions is nc2 or n into n minus 1 by 2. So this will contain all those inputs where the number of inversions is n into n minus 1 by 2. And there are inputs which are already sorted, no inversion at all. They will be placed at E0. Now you see that a countably infinite set of inputs is nicely partitioned into a finite number of equivalence classes, and an input is placed at E2 if the number of inversions in that input is 2. And the objective is to come up with a strategy which will convert this into a state or a sequence in which number of inversions is 0, equivalently a sorted sequence of that input. That's precisely the idea. Now, what should be our averaging argument? Given a sequence, an input sequence, the number of inversions in that, it could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 3, it could be n choose 2. Now, on an average, how many inversions will be there? And the objective is to eliminate so many inversions through our algorithm. So let us estimate the number of inversions on average. Because once we eliminate these many inversions, then the sequence is sorted, but we don't know. It could be 0, it could be 1, it could be 2, and so on. So how many inversions will be there on an average, which we shall estimate now. So to estimate the number of inversions, we are going to define an indicator random variable. What is that? We define an indicator random variable xij. It takes the value 1 if there exists an inversion between ai and aj. It's indicator, so it takes the value 0 or 1. And if otherwise, which means no inversion at all. So now we have defined this. Please note, we are focusing on averaging argument, which means weighted average. With this, how do we get the weighted average? Go for expectation. So expectation gives you on an average or the weighted average. What would be the value of this on an average? How do you calculate this? Then the random variable takes the value 1 with probability of, or it takes the value 0 with probability of. Correct? There is an inversion or there is no inversion. So off for each. it turns out that the expected value is off. This is with respect to one ij. On an average, or the expected value of the random variable xij, that shows that we get to see an inversion between I and j with probability of, or there is no inversion between I and j with probability of. So that shows that in 50% of the cases we may see inversion, the other 50% of the cases we may not see inversion. Now this we know, with 0.5 we get to see the inversion. But this is just one ij. How many different ij's are possible? That's given by this. This is expected number of inversions in A of 1 to this. That's precisely what, take possible values for ij, and for each of them take the expected value. Correct? Now this is precisely what expected value of ij, and the expected value of this is off, and this is off into n into, this is all possible values, right? All possible pairs, n into n minus 1 by 2, which is essentially theta of n square. So given an input of this type, the number of inversions could be 0, which is already sorted, leave that part. So it could be 1, it could be 2, it could be this. And it varies between 1 and n choose 2. We wish to know on an average how many inversions will be there. Once we set right the inversions, we get a sorted sequence, and it turns out that the number of inversions on an average is theta of n square, which is again close to the worst case. And there is one analysis that is through linear search, another one is through inversions. So when you see a pair of elements are out of order, which means there is an inversion between them. And the objective of sorting algorithm is to correct so that they are placed at the right place. Now for an arbitrary input, how many are there? On an average, how many are there? That's essentially the focus of this discussion. And it turns out that there are this many inversions. So on one side, best case says theta of n, and the worst case says theta of n square. So the average cost is close to the worst case. It is also taking theta of n square. So on an average, we have to incur this many number of comparisons before we say the sequence is sorted. Fine, so we will take this model and then we will experiment for one more case study, which is the number of, which is quicksort. When we do this one can also look at this model, meaning say number of comparisons, let's assume it is between 1 and n choose 2, or n into n minus 1 by 2. Or I'll put it this way. For a given input, identify what would be the minimum number of comparisons and maximum number of comparisons. Classify the set of all inputs into one set as equivalence classes, all those inputs for which it takes say comparison 1, comparison 2, so on up to this. Or one can also look at number of swaps. For example, if a pair of element is out of order, you need one swap. And it could be 1, it could be 2, it could be n choose 2. Then classify the inputs based on number of swaps. It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be so on up to n choose 2. That's one second model. Third model is this. One can also do like this. The best case is theta of n. The worst case is theta of n square, which means I will have to partition the input, set of all inputs, between theta of n to theta of n square. So that model also one can check. So you place all those inputs for which the complexity is theta of n, all those inputs for which the complexity is little more than this. Things like that one can analyze as part of this. So the idea is this. You have to fix a parameter of interest. Is it number of inversions or number of comparisons or number of swaps in relation to the underlying algorithm. Then bring in probabilistic analysis and estimate the expected value through either indicator random variable or through the usual probability approach. Using this indicator random variable, we shall analyze quicksort, which we shall see next.